Hey, Scott Spears back with you today, and we're joined very luckily by the senior United States Senator from Ohio, Sherrod Brown. Senator Brown, how are you?
I'm good, Scott. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for being on the program. Want to get right into this. Want to talk about your efforts to ensure that veterans receive the benefits they deserve by decreasing the claims backlog. What's going on there?
Yeah, we're seeing more and more returning servicemen and women coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, and from as they leave the service, file for disability claims with the military, and the VA has gotten a much too long backlog. There's some 800,000 Ohio veterans. There are obviously millions more around the country. Tens of thousands of these veterans are waiting in line to get their disability claims processed. 25,000 backlog claims in Ohio alone, and but my legislation will basically involve local veterans groups, whether it's the Veterans Service Office in Marion, the Veterans Service Commission, or whether it's the VFW or the American Legion or the AMVETS or the DAV or the Paralyzed Vets of America, whatever. Any of the local groups will work with the VA to speed up those claims, to help people file for them, particularly as we do e-filing now, and a lot more veterans are online that can do that.
Absolutely, and I think anything involving the veterans is very important. In your opinion, because everybody wants to know as we head into the election, what is the biggest problem facing Ohio right now?
No, the biggest problem is jobs, and there's some pretty good signs. Not like it needs to be. For 10 years, over a 10-year period from 2000 to 2010, we lost. In this country, we lost more than 5 million manufacturing jobs, almost one-third of our manufacturing jobs. We know how hard that hit Marion and Mansfield, where I grew up, and Cleveland and everywhere else. We have seen for almost every month the last 2 years manufacturing job growth and job growth overall. It's just not enough. And so one of the things I'm working on is I was the sponsor of the largest bipartisan jobs bill that passed the Senate last year, and that is to level the playing field on Chinese currency, because clearly as companies in the U.S. shut down and move to China, China's not playing fair, and it's time we enforce our trade laws, that we build a more level playing field, because we can compete and we can win as workers and as businesses and as manufacturers with a level playing field.
You know, certainly, Senator Brown, I think everybody would agree with you that jobs are the most important thing right now on everybody's mind in Ohio. But certainly nationally right now, a big conversation has been started by President Obama endorsing same-sex marriage, first president to do that, sitting president. What is your feeling on that?
I support marriage equality, and I have for years. I think that if two people love each other, more power to them. I don't think they threaten my marriage. I think that it's something that I don't think we tell the churches what to do. Churches recognize what they want to recognize, but in terms of the legal system, I'm not a lawyer, but in terms of the legal system, I think that people should have that right.
Do you think that should be handled by the federal government or the state government?
Well, I think I think it should be a national policy. I don't think, if you can marry in one state and then you go to another state and you're no longer legally married, that just doesn't make sense. And to me, it's a civil right, and that's what we should honor. And I look back 40 years ago. Marriage between an African American and a white person was so frowned upon in this country, and now people don't much care about that. And it's just the world's changed, and I think that's a change in the right direction. That if someone loves somebody, why would big government come along and take their rights away, any rights away that they or any intrude in between the two of them? I just don't think it makes sense.
Senator Brown, Ohio is right now in the mix of the casinos coming in. First one to open in Cleveland last week, and the Toledo one's on the horizon. What's your feeling on the casinos in Ohio?
Well, I have mixed feelings. I want to make sure they're paying enough taxes to take care of the problems that a casino tends to create sometimes. You need more police protection. You probably need more substance abuse counsel, all the kinds of things that more gambling can bring. So I have those concerns. It's the law in Ohio. They're here. I want to make sure they work for people. I want to make sure that if people are going to gamble, they do it in Cleveland or Columbus rather than go to another state. But I don't think it's the panacea of economic development that some people claim. I think we need to do a lot more in our cities to attract jobs. And I mean, that's really, to me, why why manufacturing, back to your original question about bringing jobs back from China and reshoring, and we're seeing some of those things happen in a different trade policy and a different tax policy. It's insane how with NAFTA and CAFTA and all the bad trade agreements that presidents in both parties, and I've had my disagreements with Clinton and Bush both about these trade policies, and we finally now have a president that's enforcing trade laws, and it's going to turn into jobs, and that's real economic development to me. The casinos help, but the real economic development is making things, growing things. We're a great agriculture state in Ohio. That's where the real future is.
Senator Brown, this is an election year. President Obama's up for re-election. You're also up for re-election. You're running against Ohio Treasurer Josh Mandel. And there was an ad that was recently put out that you approved. I watched it yesterday, in which you called Josh Mandel a politician we just can't trust. Why is that?
Well, I don't want to do a lot of sort of negative things on this program, but basically you contrast the two of us. I was elected to the Senate. I'm serving my term. I'm doing my job every day. I'm working on the Senate floor and in committee today and yesterday, and my opponent ran for state treasurer, promised to serve 4 years. In his first 2 months in office, he was already raising money, including going on overseas trips to raise money for a Senate race 2 months into his term. And so I think it's really, do you trust somebody that is always looking for the next position, always looking for the next job, and will do whatever it takes to get that next job? I mean, he just today turned back $100,000 in campaign contributions because the FBI has been looking at him for the last 6 months on illegal campaign contributions. I mean, I guess I do say, should voters trust somebody like that? But this race is going to be about what I've done and what I'm going to continue to do, fighting for jobs for Ohio.
Absolutely, and I certainly agree with your message, but in the last minute and a half here we have with you, when you are in an election like this and you do tack your name on the end of an ad where your voice comes in and you say, I approve this message, when you call somebody a politician we can't trust, is that to you heavy rhetoric, or is that just the truth?
Well, it's the truth. I wouldn't put my name on it if it weren't. And you've got to. I mean, I didn't just say that. It's what we said in the ad that plays into that. And I contrast that with a couple months ago. I was at Nucor Steel in Marion, and talking about making sure that we buy American steel every chance that either the government or private business in this country can. I mean, that's the contrast you're going to see. A politician that's run who wants to be something but not do very much in office, versus somebody like me who really works hard at this job, works hard at the job itself, not at the campaign only, and is fighting for whether it's non-union workers at Nucor or whether it's union workers at another plant. I will fight for helping to create a stronger middle class.
Final question here with 30 seconds, Senator Brown, because I know you have to get going, and I do appreciate the visit. And it's when it comes to trust, I know you've said that Josh Mandel is always going to the next position, trying to get the next job. But is that an issue of trust? I mean, why is that trust?
Oh, I think it's trust because he promised that he would serve 4 years, said that publicly on tape when he was running for state treasurer, and 2 months later, he broke that promise. He has had to turn campaign money back. That's a question of trust. He's not done his job as state treasurer. That's a question you entrust somebody for in public office, and they don't live up to what they took their oath about and what they promised. And that, to me, is all about trust. I'll let the voters decide that, but they're going to have a contrast in this campaign between somebody who doesn't do his job but says he was going to, versus somebody that promised to do his job and is fighting every day for Ohio jobs and to create a strong middle class.
How confident do you feel?
Well, I feel confident because I think the voters are smart.
Okay. Well, hey, Senator Sherrod Brown, senior senator from Ohio. Hope you come back with us in the future. Thank you so much.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Well, there you go. And we'll just keep on moving along here this morning. Interesting guy, I think.